It is 6 o'clock, and we have a quorum, so I will go ahead and call this meeting to order. Do we have any citizen communication for the evening?
We have an active book challenge. It is going through the first part of the process, and right now it's being reviewed by everybody on staff, all the professional librarians on staff. Once that's done, I'll give the decision to the person who's filed the complaint. If they're not happy with it, they may bring that to the library board, in which case I will I'll give you guys time to review the material also, according to our policies.
Do we know what the book is?
I do, yeah. If you asked me for the exact title right now, I probably couldn't give it to you. It is a children's nonfiction book about sex, and it is more, I don't want to talk too much about it because I want you guys to have no opinion from me. So, yeah.
Oh, I think I heard a knock.
Oh,
It's on the book.
and that's all I have for communication.
Did everyone have the opportunity to look over the minutes from last month? I believe there was a note to make on the minutes.
Yes, there was a typo, was it? Yeah.
And Daniel fixed it.
I already
Okay.
fixed it in
Okay.
our reporting.
Awesome.
software,
Awesome.
so.
Then are there any other questions or comments on the minutes? Then do we have a motion to approve?
Approved.
And a second?
Second.
Okay. Approval of last month's minutes, which leads us into our first discussion topic, which would be the Friends of the Pflugerville Library Report. And Aaron.
Good evening, Library Board. I'm Aaron Millis, Friends of the Library Board member. I understand there was not a quorum for the Library Board in July, so I'll be reporting on the prior 2 months. Financials, the Friends financials continue to look good. We had no major events planned since the last Library Board meeting. The Buy the Bookshelves were hard to keep stocked at the beginning of the summer as folks picked up their beach reads. In June, the Friends Board approved funding the library's Board Books for Babies offsite program. We've worked with library staff to get the initial books and interactive items ordered and are ready to start preparing the bags for the events. The library staff found quite a few good deals on the Vietnamese and Spanish board books to the point that we were able to double the number of books for each session and still are staying under budget, which is great. Extra funding was requested for the upcoming LibraryCon in September beyond the initial 2024 budget. This additional allocation was approved during the July Friends meeting. The Friends have a wonderful collection of comics, graphic novels, and manga that we've set aside over the last year specifically for selling at that event since it went so well last year. I do have my costume assembled, prepared, and I only have to get my barber on board. There's no full bodysuit this year. Friends participated in Pay It Forward at the end of the summer reading program on July 27th to tell people about the Friends and how they can contribute. The same day, we also had Friends members assisting library staff, Tiara, at Hope Fest event from PFISD to help promote the library. Our next book sale is next week on Thursday, August 22nd, here at the library. The donation room was packed to the brim by mid-July, even with the high activity in Buy the Book. We had to close donations in the first week of August because we ran out of storage crates, and we had nowhere to put the books. There's stuff in Jennifer's office, there's stuff stuffed in the vending room. We're not going to have a lot of room to put everything out. Our next Friends Board meeting is next week on Tuesday at 4 p.m. here at the library, and the Friends were quite excited to have a library board member attend during the organization's meeting in July. As always, our meetings are open to all Friends members, and you'll have to excuse me for a minute. I'm not used to the mask.
You're not tearing up because the library board member was there?
No, I stupidly went and took a mint before I put the mask on, and now it's blowing up into my eyes. So, all right. At the last library board meeting, there was a suggestion to take member skills PTA style to encourage engagement and participation. That suggestion was relayed during the Friends meeting in July. We are discussing the technical side of this type of information tracking with the online database setups we now use and will likely implement some form of the idea. Ideally, we'll be able to take a request for volunteer staffing and be able to translate that info into a call to the folks most likely to contribute in that manner. All right, marketing and tech stuff. One of our tech marketing goals for 2024 was to improve our physical media now that we have an information-rich online presence. We have a somewhat dense pamphlet that we've used, which it's effective, but it's a bit cumbersome when doing outreach during in-person events like Pay It Forward or the book sale checkout line. To this end, our talented media friends produced this single-page flyer that invites folks to join the friends. And I left one for each one of you that's not pressure. I just wanted you guys to see it. It's very pretty. It's a matte finish. It takes a pen real well. And its whole goal is just to collect the bare amount of info that we need for someone to be a member and to give them the easiest way possible to give us their dues. So we're not getting rid of the pamphlet, but we're going to use this more in the face-to-face communications. So that flyer wasn't a completely homegrown idea. It actually came about because our treasurer, who you guys have met, Kim, along with our assistant treasurer, visited the Round Rock Friends organization to exchange ideas and feedback on things we've worked on. They liked our enamel membership pins. We liked the modern looking matte finish half-page flyer they had. Though the Friends have our favorite library, all Friends organizations have a general mission of improving literacy and strengthening all libraries. We're considering doing more of the outreach events with regional library support groups to share both our experience and to benefit from the other group's successes. We can definitely speak to improving our online presence with the goal of increasing online fundraising, as well as the tax headaches of running more than 2 book sales a year. There's a reason people don't do it. And I think I'm going to end with that. Thank you for allowing me to give this report. Are there any questions, concerns, or communications you guys would like me to relay to the Friends? All right, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron.
Goodness.
Next up is our student liaison reports. Lucas? unless-
He has just gotten back, I
Yes.
believe.
Yeah, I went to China over the course of July to visit relatives, so that's why I took July off. But school started again, the libraries. For some reason, at my school, they don't let you go to the library during the school day anymore. They only let you go before or after school.
Wow.
Yeah, and so right now, I don't think anyone's really going there. People have to catch the bus after school and before school. I don't think that's the first thing they go to do, but yeah. So far, nothing much. That's happening.
I can give you some things for your school librarian to hand out about our e-resources so that they can at least access those when they're not able to go to the library.
Yeah, that would be great.
Because everybody in the school district can.
Yeah.
So. Okay.
Up next is our library budget progress.
Okay, well, it's not much to report other than the council heard the draft budget last night. So far, so good as far as the library's budget. It is lower than last year, but again, last year was the exception because I was replacing a lot of furniture and other equipment. So it's not that they cut our budget at all. It's just that I didn't ask for as much this year. I find that the council and city administration are open to library needs. So if I were to go to them and say, not this next year, but the next year, now I need $50,000 for X, it's not going to count against me that I didn't ask for more this time. A lot of people are like, if you don't ask, you don't get, and that's true. But I believe in being good stewards of the taxpayer dollar, and if we don't need something right now, I'm not going to buy it just because I want to keep that bank, if that makes sense. Okay?
Right.
So, yeah, but so far so good.
And up next, library marketing and outreach with Tiara.
Hello. Okay, so things are going well on my front. I've been trying to encourage people to come to the library in the back to school season. I know we have more of a drop off once the summer reading program ends, but I've been sharing more information about you can come to the library to study, or perhaps, we've got e-resources for homework help, things like that. We had a really good month last month for outreach, and I think that's because we went to Comic-Con, which is always one of our biggest outreach events of the year. We also had Hope Fest at the end of the month. We had a few story times mixed in there as well, so we had a very good month. I did want to discuss the newsletter. I remember you guys mentioned interest in starting a newsletter. My first question is, like, what do you envision for that?
So I mean, I think I initially brought up the idea of a newsletter, and so I was thinking just how we broadcast all the events on the TVs out here. Just a similar thing with a calendar of upcoming events. This is what's going on in the month of X, and kind of like a distribution process just like that. You know, with the schools and pretty much with any organization, they collect emails, and you have a voluntary email log that you can receive updates from, even businesses and stuff like that. I don't know if you guys would be interested in an e-newsletter or a physical newsletter, but you could just put them like pamphlets in church, the church bulletin. You know, you could just have a little thing right there, and the newsletters, people come in and they grab a newsletter and they go out. And so I wasn't really thinking of like a mailing process, but just able to be, I mean, I guess people can sign up for a mailing list if we wanted, and it costs money, so.
Sorry,
So
I'm
were
taking
you,
notes.
that's okay, were you thinking, and you may have answered this, I may have spaced out. How often? Like quarterly?
Quarterly, yeah.
I think the electronic one should be weekly. That's what all the other libraries do.
I think one of the issues when we talked to the communications department, they were saying it's very time intensive to do a weekly, like they do the key to the city, and they say that takes one staff member a significant amount of time each week. So one of the concerns was if we do it weekly, how much of a time, do we have time to do that
No,
basically?
I think
Right.
quarterly is more doable
Right.
logistically.
Yes.
What if you did a print one like quarterly, and then like an e-newsletter with just a calendar and like a bare minimum update once a month?
Yeah, I was thinking as a user, it would be helpful to see what's happening this month.
I think that maybe in lieu of that, we promote that people can sign up to get alerts through our calendar. Because I think that people can opt in and opt out as they want to at that point.
To every activity or just the one?
They can choose, I think on LibCal, can't they?
I believe so.
They can choose either to get everything or get just age specific.
Okay.
Yes. Yes, we did have that conversation with the communications department because we would have to involve them in getting MailChimp involved, and the, I guess, former communications director mentioned that that was a concern, especially since I'm a team of one, for a weekly newsletter. However, I'm open to maybe considering like something different, or I even mentioned like a physical one I might even be able to do quarterly for like our seniors or something like that. But I just wanted to get a more detailed sense of what you were envisioning, and then we can go from there.
I think that whenever Matt brought it up to me, Key to the City is what kind of popped up in my brain. So just like a couple of highlights or like things that did happen, and then like here's what's happening in the next few weeks. That's definitely.
Why don't you look into LibCal and see if there's a way that we can send out to people who sign up for it, automatically send out like calendar listings. Yeah.
And
And
even
email
Key to the City,
blasts,
like you
yeah.
guys are talking, the Pflugerville sends out that little trifold piece of paper with like upcoming events. I think it's quarterly, or maybe monthly. Do you guys get that?
No.
Is that the utility bill one?
It has a highlight of a member
That's
that works for the
flyer.
city.
PFLYER, I think.
I can't
That's in
remember
the
what it's
utility
called.
And the utility bill? No.
Is that what it is?
I think that's what it is. PFI,
Is that
electronic
P flyer.
P-flyer, okay.
Okay.
It comes with the utility bill?
I think so, if we're talking about the same thing.
I can bring
Mine does.
I can bring one next time.
I only get my utility.
I actually had a very similar discussion on newsletters today with a committee, not a library, but it is quasi-library. And we were talking about the difficulty that they were having with sending out emails because of the limitations to what they were using, which I think might be similar to what we're talking about here. One suggestion could be also that we do a quarterly one, and I don't know if this would work with the new website, but it might, where we have it on our library front page quarterly. And then maybe have some print ones for the seniors. I don't know, what do y'all think? Well, I mean, we're not going to make decisions right now because it's a discuss only, but throwing around ideas is great.
I know with weekly newsletters, if you don't have completely new information each week, if we're sort of like talking about, if our programming is planned far enough in advance, which we do, and then if you're presenting a weekly report of kind of the same events each time when we only have one or two new pieces of information, from my own experience with doing weekly newsletters, like with work, similar upcoming events, people will stop reading them if they think like, oh, it's the same thing over and over again. Versus if you have it monthly or quarterly
And we did,
with new information, people will stop and look.
yeah, we used to do monthly calendars that were trifolds. The cost of those was astronomical. We did them in-house too, and they were still quite expensive. And most of the time they were left somewhere, or they were thrown out. So that's when we started using the QR code. So that helps, but again, with our seniors, maybe they want, and we can print one or two for, the seniors whenever they ask for them, but yeah.
I think for me, it's like, I always am thinking like, when I'm at a point where I'm like, okay, what are we gonna do this weekend, or what does my son wanna do in the next few weeks? I do think to go to the library website, but it's not, if it was coming to me, like I think it would be more front of mind. And that definitely happens with tweets and Facebook posts that I have notifications for the library, but that would be my personal experience with email newsletters, is I would probably see more if it was coming to my inbox.
I completely agree. I get all my event information from e-newsletters from the different libraries. I don't go to the website, it's too cumbersome.
One thing to consider too is like for most of our programs, we don't have a problem with people not coming. We have people signing up like as soon as the registration becomes available.
Yeah.
So if we're thinking about getting the word out more, we just also need to consider that if we push too much, then we suddenly get a lot of angry people. Well, why are you promoting these things? And then they're filled up right away. So there's a balance.
Yeah, we'd definitely have to be selective about what was put in there. And then would that defeat the purpose? I don't know. I mean, let's look at LibCal, because I'm pretty sure that we could automate something going out. And it could be an automated newsletter. I don't remember, honestly, the conversation we had with them, but we could look at it. We would definitely have to tell people, hey, don't kill us if you don't get into the spice thing.
If there's only 20 seats or something, just so that there's like a preemptive
Expectation.
Yeah.
The city is also transitioning to a new website, which includes us, which is supposed to be October 1st. So once we do that, we might see if there's some functionality in that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Hand bring a spice of the month club.
I'm sorry,
No, I
the
can't
minute
do
that
it.
came out of my mouth, I was like,
I mean, I'm not old enough yet.
Yeah, I can't take the senior watercolor.
we've had people almost get into a fight at a plant swap. So, so it is very
Swap too.
important that people understand that, we have limited space and limited resources, so.
I think in addition to advertising events, because like you said, we don't have a problem with people coming to those, but I do think there's still that unawareness of like, oh, y'all have that?
Yeah,
So if there was the rotating, like a spotlight on some of the different features that we have available, of
That's a good
different
idea, yeah.
services, or, did you know you can stream TV through these platforms we have? Because I think that's where we get more of the like, I didn't even know I could do that.
That's a great point.
And you just reminded me that we have streaming. Even I don't remember. Because there's a series my husband wants to watch, which I'm pretty sure is on the streaming.
Well, and just like the city, you could highlight an employee of the library board, once a month or whatever like that.
Do a volunteer spotlight.
A couple other things. So when I get comic books, right? If I want a comic book that comes out every month, I call them and I say, hey, put this comic in my pull file, and then I go in and pick it up. So if you wanted a newsletter and they wanted a physical copy, you can just have it where it's sign up, so you know exactly how many you got to print. You don't have wasted costs or anything like that. So it'd be something they register for. I want to print newsletter or something like that, a quarterly newsletter. And then if you do, I can see definitely there's a different side of hesitation to gathering an email list, because then you got to store that data somewhere. I mean, it's electronic, but you're still responsible for everybody's email. And so then you're worried about security and say, no, we don't sell your information. So that's a whole other thing to think about.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. Okay.
All right. Well, thank you all for your insights. I think that will definitely shape our discussions and our research going forward about the topic so that we can find something that's a great fit.
And next up is the library director report.
Okay, so that's me. So, you know, I've been pondering why our staff's not going up or a little bit down from last year as far as physical circulation goes. And for a while there, electronic, but now electronic's gone through the roof again. So I don't know that what I was thinking it might be is even valid, but I thought, well, a lot of those accounts that we gave to people for free that were outside of the city limits outside of the school district during COVID have expired now. So I thought, well, that might be part of it. I honestly have no idea. And this month, of course, everything went up. So my argument is completely invalidated by that. Our stats are up. Our circ stats, our physical circulation is still down a little bit, but we do have a 3-week checkout. Prior to COVID, it was a 2-week checkout, so that's part of that probably. Electronic circulation is up, which is awesome. And computer in-house use is not as high as it was last year, but we do have a lot more people utilizing their personal devices, especially now that we have the study pods. So those have proven to be extremely popular. Catalog searches are on par with what they were last year, and the library physical visits are a little bit up from last year. Programs, as you can see, huge. We're at 26,000 people so far this year. August, we don't do a lot of programming just because we don't want to kill the librarians. And also because we are getting our new AV this month. So starting on the 19th of August, they're going to start work on it, and hopefully they will be done by August 31st. So outreach looks great, of course, because we have the lovely and talented and brilliant Miss TR working on that.
About the pods, how are you doing reservations or?
People can reserve online like they do anything else, only there's no cost for the pods. Or it's first come, first serve if there's not a reservation on it. So
And
it's a
that's
lot,
working
yeah.
well?
Yeah, so far. It's the same that we do with the other meeting rooms. If there's no reservation, we allow people in there to use it. Otherwise, it's just sitting there empty. I am thinking about if I have it in my budget next year. It's hard to tell right now. Not that I don't think I'll get what I asked for, but I didn't specifically ask for more pods. But there will be some rollover, I think. I may have enough money next year, let's just put it that way, to buy another pod or two, and that is definitely something I'd consider since people love them. Yep. Okay, Kitty Cafe, if you didn't go, you are out of luck, I think, until fall. They have, how many was it, 8 yesterday? 8. I fell in love with a kitten named Anchovy. They're all named after fish. Anchovy is the runt, and she is super sweet, and she wants to be held all the time. So, Kitty Cafe. What else went on? Pay It For It Pflugerville. Huge success. Again, that's our end of the summer reading program. And that's where the library invites different nonprofits to come and talk about their nonprofits. And there are charitable activities that go on. So, and that is it. Green Team won. Yes.
Have you heard anything from the city about developing a new library? So I drove out between Hutto and here, and man, just exploding everywhere.
Yeah,
People,
I think
neighborhoods.
everybody is aware, both who work for the city and through the city government. It's a huge process, so I think it's on everybody's radar, but I have no idea when or where or how. There will be some capital improvement projects coming up. I don't know enough to speak really deeply on them, but we're on the radar. We will be, it's not a question of having to convince somebody, it's just time, money, that sort of thing. So, yeah. Prioritizing. That's all I have.
There are no further questions on the director's report. Move on to our action items, and the first one up is to discuss and consider action regarding our student liaison applicant.
And that's Jade, she's here. And y'all received her application last month. So are there any questions you want to ask Jade?
How's it going, Jay? How are you? What school do you go to?
Hendrickson.
Which one?
Hendrickson.
Hendrickson? Why are you interested in being on the library board?
I really like the library. I just want to get involved with it.
Okay. What's your favorite genre of books?
I like horror books.
What?
Horror.
Horror books.
Horror?
Yeah, me too. I love a good ghost story.
Good deal.
Yeah. And we can have up to 4 student liaisons on the board. They don't have to be from different schools. So.
Are you interested in are you involved in any other extracurricular activities?
I'm involved in ROTC and choir.
And do you foresee any problem coming to the meetings every month, or do you think you'll be able to attend all?
It depends on if it's during the weekend or it's on the weekday. I'm not sure how.
It's always on a Wednesday evening.
I can try to make it.
Okay.
Do y'all want to vote now, or do you want to vote next month, or?
Oh.
Okay, we need a motion.
Okay, so we have a motion to vote to approve our student liaison.
I make a motion to approve.
A second.
Okay.
Okay.
All those in favor of approving our student liaison to the board?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Welcome to the board.
Welcome.
I'll be in touch with you. I'll give you a little outline. Okay.
And our last item is to discuss and consider action regarding the library mascot. And pass it over to Matt.
Last name is Robertson, not Robinson.
Sorry,
Besides
that's me.
that, I met with Tiara a few days ago, like last week sometime, and just wanted to bring the topic of having a mascot for the library back up, seeing what everybody thought. So I prepared, some statistics on how a mascot can help with reading, help with connecting, building a sense of trust between kids and stuff like that, because it's a figure that they can identify with and relate to hopefully connect them to reading, so that every time they would see that figure, it'd be visually triggering. Say, hey, this has to do with reading, and triggering to read is always a good thing, in my opinion. But I presented some names that all start with F, and animals that all start with F. And so we talked about it, discussed it over lunch, and I left it up into y'all's hands.
I like the idea, and as we discussed, I told you all, but I would be interested if we were to start, if y'all think it's a great idea. I think it would be a good idea to maybe start with a digital release of the mascot, whatever the mascot may be, and just have them in social media, or her or them on social media posts, and then go from there into maybe a more physical mascot, because that would be more of the suits didn't actually seem that expensive, but we would have to outline like heat safety, and like will we allow only staff members in the suit, or are volunteers allowed in the suit, things like that. So that would be something we would probably have to outline in more detail. But we can definitely start with a digital one, and I would probably want to reach out to our communications team just to make sure that it's designed well, because I do a lot of things, but I'm not a graphic designer.
Do you want to come back next month with maybe a couple of ideas?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I can do that.
Can we hear some of your?
So we talked about a flying fish, and the other one was a ferret. I don't know if the fish, we could actually get flying fish that would jump from tank to tank, but you know, you could relate that to having an aquarium in the library. We discussed, you know, having you probably can't have a hawk. Like you could have hawk demonstrations like they do at the Renaissance Fair, or not a hawk. What was the?
Not if we have kittens here.
Some bird of prey that starts with F.
Oh, falcon?
Yeah,
The
thank you,
falcon.
falcon. You know, so that would be a completely different, you know, thing. But if you had a ferret, you know, and so we discussed that there used to be cats in the library, but now there's not cats anymore. And because my idea was you could just have the ferret in the library, and you know, the kids can play with it and pet it and all kinds of stuff. But fish works too. Ferret, fish. We obviously. My kids being a Boy Scout, there was a animal retreat, and there's Arctic foxes, so you could have a fox. That can be pretty tame, and but there's the other animals were not quite as fluffy and kid friendly, but there are suits for them, and so a mascot suit runs about $250 to $350, so it's not that bad for a nice one. We didn't really talk about names because there's a whole list of them. I picked all gender neutral names and printed out that list just so. I was envisioning our mascot to be gender neutral for equality. Let's see, what else did we talk about? We talked about who's going to wear the suit, if you're going to clean it, you know, things like that. It'd be a whole policy thing that you guys would have to work out. Too deep leadership, you know, one for the safety of the mascot in the heat so that they're always another adult with them, but also for the safety of the people they're interacting with. So you always have two adults there, like in Cub Scouts.
I was telling her we have a cooling vest. We used to have Carson who would, whatever event she was dressed up as.
But I mean, and so I mean, we referred to the Friends as well. You know how the Friend does their marketing and stuff like that. So you know, if you have a mascot, then you can just put it on a hat, and you can put it on everything that has to do with the library. And then visually, all over Pflugerville, once people see that mascot, they identify with the library.
Maybe a snake. It doesn't start with a PF, but
We do have that snakes versus
we have the
snacks.
snakes and snacks thing.
Although I will say Round Rocks has that Roxanne.
And they're just trying to copy us.
There is a snake that starts with F, but it's highly poisonous, the fleur de lance. So yeah. We went through all the names that start with F.
Okay, so what, you're gonna do some research on the options and then come back with it, or? Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
So if the ultimate goal is to have a physical, somebody in the suit, would we need to then keep that in mind when we're starting now to come up with a digital thing so that it's a good translation into a physical suit? Okay.
Yeah, and so you'd have to source if you can get like a flying fish suit or something like that, because you can get a fish suit, but you know, I mean, I imagine it might have like little
We could
bat
put
wings
little
or
fairy
something like
wings
that.
on the back
Yeah,
of it.
or yeah, that's
Give
a
it a
good
little
idea.
book, like an open book.
It doesn't have to be an actual animal.
And just off that idea right there, it doesn't have to be an animal. It could be an object that starts with F or something like that.
Like the Paris Olympics, that was a hat.
So yeah, I
Ghost
mean,
of Henry Pfluger can be.
A plow.
it was just something I wanted to bring up.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, definitely.
I'm excited. I was excited to meet with Tiara and excited to present it to the board, and hopefully it'll happen.
It's a good idea.
Yeah, definitely. I'll do some research, and if y'all chew on it and if you think, oh, we should do I can't think of an animal that starts with F that we haven't already mentioned, but if y'all think of something, bring it to the next meeting. We can definitely discuss it.
If
I
so,
think, like Pflugerville Pride uses the flamingo.
Yeah.
Oh, they do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shoot.
Yeah, that one's already been claimed.
Yeah.
I can
I
send,
like
I
it.
sent the presentation to you, I can send it to you and you can send it to the board.
Yeah, I think you forwarded it.
I forwarded
Yeah.
it to Jennifer and Daniel, yeah.
Yeah, I'll take another look at it.
Can you send it to us?
Yeah.
Or-
Yeah, I can. Send a presentation.
It wasn't anything fancy, it was,
No, but it was good. I like the frog.
That's a good idea.
thank you.
So in this case, we are tabling our library mascot for Tiana to come back next month with some more information with research, and then for us to give us time to also,
Yeah, chew on.
yeah, come up with our own ideas.
Yes.
Okay.
I also have something for future meeting, and that is y'all had talked about surveys again. So I've gathered up examples of surveys from, I forget which organization, but they're for public libraries, and of course we'd have to tweak them and everything. And I'll send those to you guys so you can look them over before the next meeting. And we don't have to limit ourselves to one. We could do all of them. I just will need them prioritized, if that makes sense. Okay, surveys. All right, I'll bring that.
If we have no further questions or comments, do we have a motion for adjournment?
I make a motion to adjourn.
And a second? Okay, this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.